The manual stitch is most often used for minute detail work. It is also used for tie-in stitches, tie-off stitches, but you'll find that you'll rarely use the manual stitch, but it is important, and it is important to know how to use, because there are times where it comes in really handy, where you're able to do things that you can't do using any other stitch type. And again, that's mostly for minute detail work. I have this swirl here on the screen, and as you can see, I'm zoomed in at 752%. If I go in and zoom at it 100%, you'll see that it's actually a really small swirl. We can go ahead and go back to fit here. What we're going to do is we're going to utilize the manual stitch in digitizing this structure. The reason I chose this one is because, as you can see, it's pretty tight to get around these corners right here. If we used a run stitch and we used a set stitch length, you would find that you'd have to use a pretty short stitch length all the way through this design in order to keep this structure. But with the manual stitch, we're able to kind of modify the length of the stitch as we go. So let me go ahead and choose the manual stitch here, and I want you to notice down here at the bottom in this status line, as I start digitizing, it'll tell you how long each stitch length is as I'm creating it. So let me go ahead and left mouse click. When you use the manual stitch, you left mouse click. Notice down the bottom left hand corner, like I said, pay attention to, it says right now length at 1 millimeter. As I go a little bit further, it says 1.2. Again, that's down right in here in this area. I'm going to go down to about right here, which happens to be 1.1 millimeters. And then I'm going to go over here. You can see I'm at about 1.2. I'm going to be a little bit further on this one, 1.4. Just to kind of show you, as I'm doing this, just to try to keep the structure here. I'm not really paying attention anymore to that stitch length, as I now have basically a pretty good idea of how far I can travel here. And you'll notice that I'm all the way up to like 1.9 in the stitch length. Back up a little bit here. All I'm doing is I'm trying to keep this shape as close as possible using the longest stitch length possible. Whenever you're doing run stitches, generally you want to be at least 1 millimeter, if not 1.2. You go all the way up to 5 or 6 millimeters. But in this case, I probably will not get up past 0.3 or 3.0 millimeters. So as you can see, looking down at the bottom, I'm about 2.2 millimeters. So you can see I'm getting a little bit longer in my stitch length, and the reason I'm able to do that is because the swirl's getting more spread out. It's not as close together anymore. And so this is where kind of the manual stitch can come in handy. This swirl might have been a little bit more difficult at this size to utilize a run stitch. So we're just going to go around here. The other thing that the manual stitch is used for is minute lettering. Whenever you're doing lettering that is that you're creating manually because it's too small to be a satin stitch, we're talking like 3 millimeter tall letters, you'll find that the manual stitch is the stitch that you will use in order to create minute lettering. We go ahead and right click to finish this stitch. So we left click all the way around the design. When we get to the end, you right mouse click, and that sets the stitches. Let me go ahead and hit the 3D view. As you can see, the thread color that I have is also in black. So if I select this stitch, I can come down here and let's say that I want to change it to this purple color. This will allow you to see it a little bit better. You can see that swirl we just created it's a very smooth circle, and you'll remember that we did shorter stitches in close, and as we got further out we were able to lengthen those stitches out. So that is how you utilize the manual stitch. Like I said, you also use manual stitch a lot of times for tie-in stitches before you start, like a satin or fill stitch, tie-off stitches. There's a lot of different uses for the manual stitch, but you will find that it is probably the stitch type that you use the least amount of time.